Hey kid, psst, over here. Life has so much to offer. Can it interest you in a sport? Knowledge? More knowledge, maybe? All at once. You'll be acclaimed for the breadth of your understanding in humanity, living and dying better for it. You don't want all that. Here, take some job security and start a family without ever having to worry. You can live a good life with just this one skill. Something academic. Here, run these formulas. After all, only the very best in each field can be glorified.
There is a marketplace of philosophies to center our lives around, a place we high school kids find ourselves the customers of a lot. One seemingly two-sided debate is whether we should be specialists that focus on one set of skills, becoming the best we possibly can in our lane, or should we be generalists who take on a lot of different learning opportunities but never commit all of our eggs to one basket. This debate can take many different paths, two main ones being career success and personal success. I'm sure hearing these examples, you may have already aligned yourself with one side. Maybe you're somewhere in between. Maybe you're really smart and don't care at all. Today's parable hopes to shed light on the nuanced discussions surrounding these choices and their outcomes, and while we can never reach a definitive answer, draw us closer to concluding, should we set up our lives around specialism or generalism?
No. Now I've let your dangerous teaching slide for too long now, Generalist George.
My dangerous teaching, Specialist Sam, you are the one who shills narrow-mindedness to anyone who crosses your path.
Look, it's been a long time coming and I'll fight you for this market spot.
Fine, and the whole town is invited.
The town didn't need an invitation. The weeks leading up to the fight were tense. Local media conducted interviews with each of the men. Here with Specialist Sam in his lead up to the big fight. Now, Specialist Sam, what makes you think that you'll be able to win this fight? Well, thanks for talking with me here today. Really, I dominate the career domain of this debate. For example, we have this commonly discussed concept of this 10,000 hours method. It's been tested, and we know it's a strategy that works. Take, for example, Tiger Woods. He had a golf club in his hand since he was 2 years of age, and he turned out to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, golfer of all time. His dedication to this one medium led him to the top. We also have the example of Booker T. Washington. Think about him. He promoted education's main importance being to secure a job. Reconstruction era of the United States for many struggling African Americans. He helped them by advocating for vocational training to advance. And we see a similar concept in education now of the reference to a spike in college applications that, if you're all disorganized and out of, your activities are all over the place, no institution is really going to see that you're focused on this one thing, and that's the way that you're going to benefit the world. And we can see the same example in Angela Duckworth's thoughts about grit, that it takes really a passionate focus on this one main thing that's driving you to be successful, or else you're just going to kind of have all these things and nothing really substantive. And our modern economy also relies on the segmentation of work and the specification of jobs, because we can all train this one specific skill and be the very best at it, and then add all of our very best work up to get an amazing end result. Also, if we can bring one easily learnable skill to people, like Booker T noted, we can bring them up out of direct poverty quicker and than this long process of higher education student loans. Now, you mentioned your love for this specialization, but there were recent leaked reports released that found that hyperspecialization can be dangerous because of leading to a disconnect between employee and company, allowing some programmer somewhere to unknowingly support a corporation that's benefiting from child labor on the other side of the world or something like that. Look, this is fairly true, but think about it. We're set on this earth to directly help those around us, and can do so by earning a good salary and lifting up our direct families. To be frank, we must ensure that we can take care of those who need us most. And what about from an intrinsic personal philosophy and also interpersonal relations standpoint? Look, the privilege to be able to participate in a ton of activities and connect with different people is not the one that many people have. Generalism seems to be able to connect with the wealthiest people in our society because they don't have to worry about feeding their families on a daily basis. They can afford to be discussing and participating in chess for 1 hour, then viola lessons, then traveling to see other cultures. Specialists, we can still be moral, even if we're spending our time working rather than flaunting our morality. Final words? Look, Generalist George has no chance. He might have 1,000 unique moves when we fight, but not a single one of them will be trained enough to even give me more than a scrap. We've already had the pleasure of talking to his opponent. Now we've been able to get time with Generalist George here between his practices. What makes you think you're going to win this fight, Generalist George? Really, being a good human is what matters at the end of the day here, and generalism will prevail mightily in that aspect. I'm sure Miss McCarthy's English class will know something about many of these people, but you have Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he urges us to be the man farming rather than solely a farmer. We are humans, not defined by jobs, and we can keep our heads up as humans and observe more of the world, then we will get closer and closer to the full scope of the truth it holds. You have Frederick Douglass, who, like Emerson, believes more knowledge brings us closer to being more complete, and that a human without access to knowledge is merely a beast. And Elizabeth Cady Stanton, who urges us to train ourselves in a wide variety of disciplines, because we do not know when we will need one or the other, and if we know the most, then we can be the most helpful when the world turns to us. Now, we also have Desiderius Erasmus, who may be less known, but his thoughts are just as valuable. He was a 16th century Dutch priest and education philosopher who believed that we could improve ourselves through willpower and broad training. Many of one's peers in specialized training may seemingly surpass them, but those in broad training would be building character. And it is one thing to imitate a formula or writing style, it's completely another to understand it and use it to our advantage in a wide variety of scenarios. People have been coming for you because your philosophies are not very inclusive of working class citizens and those who want career success. What is your response to that? Well, quite frankly, I think it's foolish. One must be able to think farther than a single path to economic success. And I think my generalist method is good because this ability to combine two different skills that maybe you're not the very best at, but you can combine them to make great success. And you have these examples like Steve Jobs, which I'm sure Miss McCarthy's class will be very familiar with because of the recent AP exam, who was able to combine an understanding in tech and an understanding in design to create something great. Now, generalism also makes you a more adaptable employee if the market changes. If you only know one certain computer language and newest computer language completely outshines that in new technologies, you'll be left behind. Also, generalism will make you more resilient. The skills that can be developed in kind learning environments like golf, where feedback is immediate and goals are tangible, can only go so far. The world isn't like this. If you, like great tennis player Roger Federer, experiment with a variety of skills as you grow, you will learn the humbling feeling of being new to something and pushing yourself to become better at it. Though it may feel frustrating, you'll have learned many different approaches to problems and be able to assist better. And if we look at something like hyper-specialization from a wider human scope, we can see that it's hurting more people than benefiting. Plus, functionally, it can fall apart if one person drops out of the big web of specialization. And of course, specialists' claim to fame, a better salary, may not even be true, as some research shows more generalist majors edging out specialist incomes in the long run. Final words? When we get in the ring, Specialist Sam only got one move. I see his move, I avoid his move, I finish him. Come here, boy. Come in. Come in. You know what? This is dumb, man. Yes, you may have guessed it. It was me, Colin Thornburg, the whole time. Look, I've kind of grown tired of this fight. People are gonna be what they want to be, and for the most part, there's no definitive answer. Seems half my sources are written by people butthurt because they feel like generalist life or specialist life let them down. I also hate defining people based on some set of traits. I tend to put Myers-Briggs, astrology, U-science all in the same bag of scam, mythical self-definitions. That said, I've been in this generalist George body for a while now. And while these things can sound cool, and I get a swell of pride when my grandma calls me a Renaissance man, I think it's a fair argument that this generalism has outlived its utility. While burnout is usually associated with specialism, oftentimes I find myself burnt out and not able to give the effort I want to on each skill because I've spread it so thin. I also find myself regretting my lack of awards and scholarship offers and such that come with being really outstanding in one skill. That said, I want to leave you today knowing that I believe generalism is worth it. It's worth the day in and day out challenge. And maybe I benefit from a wealthier starting spot that doesn't necessitate specialism, as many cases do, but I see well-roundedness' value from a career standpoint by my research that shows how crucial it can be to combine a myriad of skills into one. And from my personal experience, I see its value because of all the people it has connected me to. I can always have an avenue to relate to and develop meaningful conversations with band kids, soccer teammates, Spanish classmates, what have you. I think that's really where the importance and value of being a generalist lies, in Emerson's idea that knowing more of the world will get us closer to the truth and lead us to better action in our daily lives. And generalism allows you to soak in that extra knowledge by connections with the knowledge holders that are all around you. In closing, go about living how you're already living. It's probably done you pretty well, and this video isn't meant to change your whole life. But when something new to learn or to try comes around, pick it up. Be curious and thorough. Curiosity is key to connecting us as humans, and being uncomfortable with a new thing and new people will give you those mental calluses that you need to find success, however you choose to define that, when life inevitably deals you a rough hand.
And then keep it in the next one.